Getting into wholesale can be a scary, scary time. It is a whole world unto itself. So I want to answer all of your questions about like the jargon, why I got into it, whether you should get into it, my advice if you're just starting out. I get asked these questions all the time, so I thought it would be great to just put it all in one video. I say this a lot, but before you go pay someone to be a business coach, just learn from my mistakes. I'm giving you all kinds of good free content here because I don't want people to mess up like I have, but also it seems so intimidating when you're just starting out and there's like so much jargon. It feels like there's all these obstacles, and really I feel like I just kind of jumped in, didn't know what I was doing, and it has worked out. So I just want to make that leap of faith a little less scary for other entrepreneurs who are starting out in this wholesale journey.
I think we should probably start with the jargon then. You want to do rapid fire?
Yeah.
Okay, what are net terms?
Okay, net terms are when the retailer wants their product from you and then wants to pay 30 days or 60 days or 90 days after delivery. So they'll say net 30, net 60, net 90. Why they can't just say like buy now, pay later or something, I don't know. But they'll just be like, can I get net 60? And that means they want to pay you 60 days after delivery.
MSRP.
Manufacturer suggested retail price. A lot of people though in like the gift world, which is where I'm at, will say like wholesale price, WSP, retail price, RSP.
B2B.
Business to business, and that's just another synonym for wholesale.
Freight.
This is so weird. People will say freight instead of shipping. So it's like, oh, we offer free freight instead of saying free shipping. And that's just sometimes because you're shipping on pallets. So that's like a freight delivery because it's on a pallet in a big truck. But oftentimes they say that and they just mean a box that's going through UPS.
What about case pack?
A case pack is when your product is only available instead of like ones, is available only as like you can order 5 or 10. Usually it's actually like 6, 12. For some reason it's like in sixes, like dozens, but like 6, 12, 18, 24, and that would be like a case pack. And usually if you're like a wholesale only business, you will get your product shipped to you and it's packaged as like sixes, so you wouldn't be willing to break that apart for somebody who's like, I only want 4, which also is one I don't think we talked about. But minimums, people will say, what's your minimum? There's a minimum opening order, and that would like, ours is 150. We won't fulfill a wholesale order unless you spend $150 with us, just because like it's not worth our time and you're not going to get a big discount if you're not at least shelling out 150. And then a minimum on the product, like product minimums, that would be like 6s. Like you cannot get 1 for wholesale because that would just be like a personal order. If you're selling for your business, you should be at least ordering, like I would say at least 3. Our minimum for products is like usually 4.
You can set your own though.
You can set whatever you want. Yeah, that's part of your wholesale terms.
Okay, keeping it rolling. Keystone pricing.
Keystone pricing is 50% off.
And that's standard.
That's standard.
Cartons.
Cartons are like the boxes that get shipped to you usually, like from the, like for us from the manufacturer, we get cartons, and 1 carton is like the unit on the pallet. So it's like a box. And then there's like other units, which would be
Inners.
Inners are inside the cartons. And so sometimes when you ship to big box stores, they'll be like, okay, we want this type of inner, like we want 6s in the inners, and then we want like 20 inners in the carton or something like that.
Okay, and not to be confused with BO, what's a PO?
PO is just a purchase order. It's literally just like, this is what we want to buy.
Any other terms you can think of?
I don't think so. I think that generally covers most of the scary ones.
Okay, perfect. One question we have is, are whether or not all products are good for wholesale. Do you divide your catalog and only make some things available wholesale, or is it all available to customers, available to your wholesalers?
Yeah, I think it's got to just be pretty much all available both ways. Like I could see sort of like different bundles or case packs or whatever, like different terms for products like for retail versus wholesale. But if you're gonna have it in your warehouse, you might as well make it available to both channels, in my opinion. I could definitely see an argument the other way for like a different sort of business model, but for mine, I make everything available to both. But I do have products that sell, like our number one selling product is Kindle cases, and we sell them almost exclusively direct to consumer. On wholesale, we sell a ton of gift bags, a ton of paint by number kits, and those don't sell super fast direct to consumer, but like if someone comes to my site and is like, I would love an EBD gift bag, I'm not going to stop you. It's already over there in the warehouse. Like, sure. And you never know like what's going to become popular. Like, I do think we will be selling more Kindle cases on wholesale going forward, because I think more store owners are kind of like wising up to the fact that they're so popular. So I think if you can, make all your products available to both.
When you started doing wholesale and you got into this, did you need to adjust your retail prices at all to account for the 50% discount, or how does that work?
So I started out doing stickers, and the margins on stickers are great. Like, there's no secret about that. They are such a low priced product. Like, it doesn't really make sense for me to sort of like package up a product that I sell for like 50 cents or $1. And also people are buying it for the artwork and not necessarily for like the construction of the product, which I think kind of increases their value relative to the cost. But my stickers have always cost like somewhere around 50 cents or less. Selling them for $3.50, obviously that is like a over 7 times markup. So that was not a big deal for me to start offering them for $1.50, $1.75. It did, like, I'm glad that's how I started, because it did sort of impress upon me, if I'm offering a new product, I can't really offer it wholesale if I'm not pricing it high enough. So if I can't get a product for at least a 4 times markup, which is I think pretty standard, then I can't really introduce it to the line unless it's going to be retail only, in which case, I'm not that interested in doing it. Obviously, running a business is really expensive. So if I can't at least double the revenue I'm bringing in on the price of the product, then I don't think it's worth it. I mean, we have to pay rent, we have to pay employees, we have to pay electricity, we have to pay for the box that it's getting shipped in. So definitely at least a 4x markup. And I guess that would be a situation in which I wouldn't offer something wholesale if I couldn't at least double my revenue on the cost of the product. But I generally probably wouldn't introduce that product to begin with, because that's just also eating into your margins for direct to consumer too.
So you take wholesaling a product into account when you're considering whether or not to even introduce it to the line.
Yeah, I would say I probably I'm not as interested in introducing product into the line if it can't be sold wholesale in addition to retail, just because I don't know like what is going to be popular either, like which channel it would be more popular in. So I feel like that would just be a negative in favor of that product. Thankfully, generally speaking, like we've really worked hard to get our margins in a place that's super sustainable for us. So generally speaking, like we're able to price things. I mean, sometimes it is priced a little high. Like people are complaining about our tote bags and backpacks because they're like $78 and $98. That is the price that makes sense for the quality that they are. So that's just something that has to factor into it when introducing the product and introducing the pricing.
You've mentioned in the past net terms, net 30, net 60. Do you feel like in order to make it as a wholesale supplier that you have to offer those terms still in 2026, or do you think that's kind of going wayward?
I think people really expect net 30, net 60, even net 90, especially the big retailers. And this could be a whole separate rant. I think it's a scam as a brand, because people have ripped us off before and not paid. That also could be a whole separate thing. But the worst is when, like, and this happened in 2021, Paper Source filed for bankruptcy and then was bought by Barnes & Noble, and they put in tons of purchase orders at trade shows like a month before they filed for bankruptcy, so they must have known at that point. And when you offer terms, let's say at the show they put in an order, you get net 30, net 60 terms, you ship the order, and then from delivery, that's when that clock customarily starts. So let's say the order gets there a week after the show, and then 30 days from that, that's when they filed bankruptcy. So ultimately, none of those small businesses mostly got paid, because when you offer terms like that and you are shipping the product and you don't necessarily have like a contract in place, even if you did, you're an unsecured creditor. And that is like a bankruptcy term for you are the last to get paid, because when you file for bankruptcy, all of your business assets go under court control, and then they divvy out the assets to everybody who has a claim that you owe them money. And the point of filing for bankruptcy is that you can't pay everybody that you owe money to. So some people get screwed, and that's always going to be the unsecured creditors. An unsecured creditor is someone who doesn't have collateral in the deals. Obviously, when you do a wholesale sale, there is no collateral. That makes you the last to get paid. And unless you hire a really good lawyer who may end up costing more than the company owes you, you're going to not get paid. You're going to get screwed. Even if you get paid, it might be a fraction of what you're owed, like not even like 50%, like 10%. That's why I hate net terms. I feel like it's always just been a way for companies to get away with eventually not paying people when they file for bankruptcy. So you really need to be careful when you put out these terms. I would say, especially with the larger companies, because they're the ones who are going to file for bankruptcy. A small boutique, they might just try and burn you, and not pay. And that has happened to us. So just check if they've filed for bankruptcy before, or if there's any sort of news out there that they're not doing well. But yes, net terms, you do need to offer them, unfortunately. And I hate them, and I have always thought it's a scam, but it's also how we make money. And I think that people wouldn't order from us if we didn't offer that to them. So yeah, it's a tough spot to be in. And that's also the hard thing about being the brand, because my manufacturers want payment like at least 30 to 50% upon the order, and then the remainder before shipping. They're not giving me the product and then saying, hopefully I'm going to cross my fingers that they'll pay me 30 days after it's delivered. I do not get that grace from my suppliers, but my wholesale customers expect it. So you're also, as the brand, kind of a financer of these boutiques, or, you know, national chains in some cases. And that's just something that is built into this business model. Crazy. I did not know any of that getting into it. But yeah, don't make the same mistake as me, offering net terms to everybody without at least these small boutiques, without sort of vetting them a little bit first. But the big box stores, you don't really have a choice. They won't order from you if you don't offer terms.
When a company orders from you, do you have any control over how they use your product or where they can sell your product?
It's so complicated how like companies use your product, like how they display it, I mean, literally just this morning we saw an ad on Instagram. Jordan texted it to me, and it was an AI generated image of our product. And I went to their website. They are one of our retailers, and they just like put into ChatGPT or something like, please put these products in like a desk setup, and then paid for an Instagram ad of it. But it looks obviously not like the products. It's AI generated, but they do actually sell those products. It was very, very odd because we have tons of product photography on our website. Please just use that. Do not generate AI images that's misrepresenting our product and then paying for an Instagram ad. But yes, you have to like outline your wholesale terms. Make sure like people are not selling your product on Amazon without your permission. Make sure that they're not like altering your product without your permission. We definitely have companies that embroider our products. That's like a lot of our pouches end up going to embroidery shops, but we are okay with that. And I mean, like, there are companies who will try to rename your products, pass them off as their own. That's a problem. Obviously, when you're selling wholesale, you still want to protect your brand integrity. And it is not out of the ordinary. I mean, you go to Target and you'll see big brands, Kate Spade or Blog Lotties or whatever, and they're selling under their brand. That's how it should be. That's how wholesale should work. It should not be like, I am ordering from your brand. It's your artwork, your design, whatever. And then I'm going to private label it and sell it as my own. Like, that's uncool. So just stuff to keep in mind for wholesale terms.
Do you feel like in 2026, it's still worth going to trade shows? Do you depend on that to build relationships that have helped you grow wholesale? Or do you think people can really do it all online from home at this point?
Honestly, after going to so many trade shows and spending so much money on it, you can do a good chunk of your wholesale revenue just on fair. As much as I have issues with fair, and everyone has issues with fair, it is a necessary evil. I do think that they are an illegal monopoly, but that's just one girl's opinion, and that's also the world in which we live. So yes, you can just do your wholesale on fair and get like a good chunk of the revenue. You could probably put in like, 3 times as much effort and maybe get like 50% more revenue by going to shows, and then at least put yourself out there. This is why I go to shows, to be eligible to meet bigger box stores and get bigger deals. But that requires a lot of like logistical things going on in the background. Like we could not have accepted big box orders from our previous warehouse, and now we have a big warehouse with a loading dock and a bunch of pallets and all the stuff that we're capable of doing it. So you could, if you don't have the logistics set up for a big box, then don't worry too much about going to shows. Obviously, it's great for customer acquisition. It's great for getting yourself out there. It's good for making content and learning and all kinds of stuff like that. But the shows are definitely declining over time. It doesn't mean you can't get your slice of the pie. I have done that and I don't regret it, but they are not the end all be all. And in fact, I feel like they are a smaller portion of the wholesale world than fair at this point.
If somebody is thinking about starting wholesale right now in 2026, based on your experience, what is a surefire product?
Oh gosh, like, I mean, if you're just starting out, a surefire product, like stickers, like that's what I did. And they're not as popular as they used to be. I'm going to be straight up about that, but they are low cost. If you have great designs, they'll sell. So it's easy to start off that way. That's how I started. And you can go watch the video telling my story about how I started out doing wholesale, with stickers. I really put myself out there in some financial distress. So it's kind of a crazy story.
What advice would you offer for somebody right now who has a retail start, especially like you did, a very small one, running it out of their house? If they're hoping to get into wholesale, what piece of advice would you offer them?
Yeah, just starting out in wholesale, what advice would I offer? It's so hard to think because there's just like a lot of things that I would like. Having to max out my credit cards, not ideal. Don't regret it. It worked out great. So like getting into wholesale can be kind of risky. Like obviously, like I said, you don't get paid until later. You have to provide the product up front. It can be expensive to invest in enough product to do that. But I think if you have already proven yourself on direct consumer and you already know that people like your product, like kind of just jump in and don't be too stressed about what the downsides could be. Worst case scenario, you put up money up front for product that doesn't sell very fast on wholesale. You're still going to be selling more product than if you were just doing direct to consumer, and then you're stocked up for a while and you can just lay off the reorders for a minute, but you have to give yourself a chance. So I would just try it, and if it's scary to put up the amount of capital required to keep up with wholesale, just do that at a time that you know you can spare it and you know you'll sell that inventory eventually, but at least you have the opportunity to try wholesale. Thank you so much for watching till the end. If you have any other questions about wholesale, first of all, I have a lot of videos on it. So again, don't pay somebody for this. There's so many business coaches out there and I'm just like doing it for free. Thank you for watching till the end. If you put questions in the comments, I will also respond. Let me know if you want to hear anything else about my small business, wholesale related or not. Thank you again for watching till the end. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more small business Q&As, day in the life, just crazy stories. We've got it all.